Yes, so some of the orders that you put into place were that you couldn't fish and you couldn't buy seeds to garden. And to your point of how Michigan is actually doing, the New York Times reported that yesterday that Michigan saw the largest drop in percent of people staying at home last week, despite the stringent stay-at-home orders remaining in effect, more than the states that have had relaxed restrictions. So some small business owners are actually risking jail time to reopen. Do you think you're being too restrictive is actually having the opposite effect in your state? And can you really claim success with these kind of numbers of people deciding to defy you?
Hello? Oh, okay. Okay, so we've lost our guest, but we'll hopefully have her back in a second with us. But it's interesting, the interesting point. I'm wondering whether, she's going to consider, given how she described a lot of the folks that were at the state capitol, whether she would describe them as potential domestic terrorists, because you described wanting to instill fear and intimidation. I wonder what you guys think about that.
Well, I think the question here isn't just beyond the protesters. I think the question, I'm sorry, I think the question is that she put in orders that were controversial. And like I said, there were things like you couldn't go in a boat to fish on a lake and you can't buy seeds to garden. And we actually had an exchange with the governor over Easter. And again, I'm happy to continue talking to her. Satellite's just out. And I think the question is, if you have these kinds of numbers of people that are deciding to come out in larger numbers than the states that have been less restrictive, are Americans going to continue to live under this kind of order? And that's the main question I have. And it hasn't been as successful as I think the state has been claiming.
Okay. Well, I believe we might be back with the governor right now. Let's see. Governor, are you with us again?
I'm here.
I'm so sorry, I can't.
You have her? I can't hear. But go ahead, Sarah. Sarah.
I can't hear Sarah.
Is the governor back, or can I just add? She's back. Okay. Governor Whitmer, I'm glad you're back here. You're said to be on Joe Biden's short list of potential vice presidential picks, and you serve as a co-chair of his campaign. Is the position of vice president something you would consider or are considering?
So, I spent 2 years campaigning to be governor of Michigan. I am grateful to be where I am, even on the hardest days in the middle of this pandemic. And there have been a lot of hard days. Every ounce of energy that I have is going into doing everything I can to get Michigan through this pandemic and save lives in the process and safely reengage our economy. So while I care incredibly about where we are headed as a country, and I am grateful for the close relationship that I've had with the vice president, I'm going to work to help him every step of the way. That's not a conversation that we've had in any depth at this juncture.
Well, I've got to add one thing. You are a vocal supporter of sexual assault survivors, as you are one yourself. Former Biden Senate staffer Tara Reade has come forward, as you know, claiming Joe Biden sexually harassed and assaulted her, a claim that Biden vehemently denies. What do you make of these allegations, and how should his campaign handle them moving forward?
Well, I take this very seriously. As a survivor myself, I wanted to know that women are able to come forward and to tell their stories, and we listen to them. For a long time, women were dismissed, and now we are being listened to, and I think that that is really important. As a lawyer, I recognize that it's important that we vet and understand and ask questions and determine credibility of all parties in any type of an allegation. In looking at this, I think that the inconsistencies that I've seen gives me, the judgment that I believe Joe. And I think that it's important to note that the vast majority of women who come forward, statistics show that they are telling the story that is true. In this instance, I do believe Joe Biden, and everyone needs to make that judgment, weigh the facts, and make the determination for themselves. But the Joe Biden that I know is inconsistent with what we have seen and what we have heard around this particular allegation. And I think for a lot of the same reasons that that Meghan herself has cited in terms of her tweets, I think that it's the reason that I'm comfortable. Then I will continue to enthusiastically support Joe.